Rusty, we are back.
Yeah, it's our first official episode of 2020.
Christmas and New Year's are over. Man, what would it be like to hear Christmas music now? I think I just start throwing up.
Well, our pick has some Christmas elements in it, and this is a pick by you. You made this pick. So why did you settle on Batman Returns?
Well, I was very curious to revisit this movie, and I had a great time revisiting it.
Oh, yeah.
It's very interesting, and I'm looking forward to talking about it. And it's also a film, Rusty, that in two moments, I really felt like it was talking to me in a way that no other superhero movie has. In two very specific moments. I wonder if you could guess what they are.
Are we revealing that now, or can we build up to it? Because I got to think.
We can build up to that. We can build up to that big time.
A little teaser for everyone.
Rusty, before we go on, I just want to know any resolutions, any New Year's resolutions.
No, I feel like I'm a dad already because I completely missed out on the whole New Year's thing this year. I did absolutely nothing. I fell asleep on the couch at like 8:30. And then I woke up, saw the ball drop for like 2 seconds, and then went back to sleep. Now you're a bachelor. You're living the life. You're living the lifestyle of Bruce Wayne, successful playboy, and
I do relate to him a little bit. I have to be honest.
So what does someone like Bruce Wayne do on New Year's?
Oh my God. I completely forgot until just now. I shaved my head at the stroke of midnight. It was 11:58 and I was like, I'd been planning on shaving my head all New Year's Eve. And I was like, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. So I just ran in. I'm shaving my head. I hear fireworks going off. The whole city's cheered for me.
You sent me the pic and my first thought was, shit, now we have no content for the show. What are we going to do? We have to come up with something new.
Oh my God, Rusty, shaving your head actually reveals so many things about hair loss. I am obsessed with taking photos of the top of my head.
What did you see on your exploration of your head?
Oh, well, I need more photos because what I'm going to do. Are you familiar with Cinerama?
No.
It was a thing in the 50s where when TV was getting more popular and they were doing more gimmicks in theaters, it was like 3 projectors pointed at a screen at once to create like a super wide image. And I'm going to do that with 3 huge images of my head from above. And it's going to be like an epic film. And Rusty, do you know what I'm going to call it?
I don't know.
How the West Was Lost.
Well, it was a long fought battle though. So
a shout out, Rusty, for our friend Dan, who he took his smackdown honorably. I'd say
he did.
But I got to give him another smackdown though, because I told Dan that I was going to kill myself unless he read Dune, but he's just not doing it.
Whoa! So where do you stand? Do you have to follow through with your?
Dan's gonna have blood on his hands. Everyone's gonna be like, "Why would Ed throw his life away for something so ridiculous?"
And Dan's the type of guy that will get over it very quickly. It's all for nothing. You're wasting your time. Now, Dan is a published author now. He has a book, Questions of Perspective, which he sent me a copy, and I got a much nicer inscription than you did. He references Baby Stark that's on its way. And I have to say, they say at this stage in pregnancy that you should start reading to the baby and to become familiar with your voice. So I said to Jen, should we read Dan's book to the baby?
Love it.
Since we both want to... Since we both want to read the book, I started reading it to the baby. The baby loves it.
Really?
Jen has a thing, the way the baby moves and like moves around a lot. She calls it blurping.
Blurping. Wow.
That's the term. That's how it feels inside. It feels like a blurp. I don't know. Use your imagination. But whenever I start reading and get into it, she blurps like crazy.
Wow. Dan's listening to this right now. He can't believe it. He's loving this.
Yeah. But the interesting thing, I don't know if this is interesting to you or to anyone else out there, but
aim high.
Aim high. Oh, this is definitely interesting to you. Dan in his book mentions a law firm that his character worked for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I guess, based on some true stories, some very, factual elements. And Jen was curious to know what the name of the law firm was. And she had me ask Dan. And it turns out that she knows the firm, knows it very well, where some of the people that work there have left that firm and now works for the firm that Jen's at. So one of the attorneys that Jen works with actually said many kind things about Dan and likes him a lot, and said that he offered Dan a job at the firm that Jen currently works at. So there was a chance that Jen and Dan could have worked together. Imagine that. Imagine that tag team. That's like Brutus Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine.
That's so funny because I was just thinking, I remember Dan saying that he responded to that job offer by banging a chair over the guy's head. Can't believe he said he was kind.
Poor Dan. He can't even defend himself.
All these compliments were building him up. Then I took him out. I took him out again.
No, you got to trash the guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a big superhero movie fan. I'm like Martin Scorsese. You know, our friend Larry is a huge like Marvel fan, and he always like whenever like we were when we were seeing Rise of Skywalker. I think one of the trailers was for the new Black Widow movie coming out.
He lost his mind.
He lost his mind, and he's just like, looks good. It's like, does it? It has no appeal to me. And then he's just like, and then he actually asked me during the trailers if I saw Deadpool and Deadpool 2, and I was just like, I saw the first one but didn't like it. He's just like, how did you not like it? It's a great movie. I'm just like, not really. Wait, so what's your stance?
My stance is, I don't know what my stance is. I used to be in the comic book posse back in middle school.
That's a tough one. That's a tough group.
I left the jocks. I was recruited by the comic book posse. Really a bad decision.
Quarterback to geek.
Quarterback to left back. And I remember how I met my old comic book friend, John's twins. I had heard him talking about comics, and this is in 6th grade, and I was like, I think he's into comics. So his locker was right near mine, and I was opening my locker, and I just said aloud, I want to be an X-Man when I grow up. And he was like, you can't. You got to be born a mutant. And then we became friends instantly.
Wait, you know what? My question to you now is, do you remember the exact comic book, your first comic book that got you into comics, or was it just like a decision you made?
No, I remember the exact comic because, well, the first thing is my brothers were into comics when I was a kid, especially the Frank Miller Daredevils. So I always had like an affinity for that. But I remember I was in 5th grade and I was at a drugstore. I was in Maine and it was over the summer, and I saw Atlantis Attacks, like the crossover. You remember how the annuals would have like the big crossover stories?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought that was the coolest thing whenever like a universe like went across different books and stuff. Like I remember when I first saw Sweet Pickles, not even kidding. If you remember those Sweet Pickles books, and they had a map in the back that was like, oh, this is where the hippo lives. This is where the alligator lives. And I was like, oh my God, a universe. Who knew that I'd be so disinterested in like these huge cinematic universes later in life? But yeah, then I got into like X-Men from there, and then I was deeply into it for.
Yeah, we didn't have all that, all the movies and all the culture of that. It was like very like selective thing to be into comic books.
I used to read this magazine called Comic Scene. I don't know if you remember, it was like a Starlog magazine. And in the back, they would always have like updates on all the comic book movies getting made. And it would have stuff like Ant-Man. This is like back in like 1990. And just basically stuff that had been like optioned and was going nowhere. But I would always like read that as if it was like the Bible and be like, oh my God, it's coming. Like they're going to make a Spider-Man movie. James Cameron's making it. But yeah, I was so desperate.
Were you also like me where you looked at it as an investment where you would like keep tabs on what your comics were worth?
Oh, I think we've said this a million times on this show. Yeah, constantly. I can't believe that would be one of the biggest spoilers of my life if I went back in time and I was like, hey, Ed, like you're going to be single at 41 and none of these comics or baseball cards are worth anything.
Oh man, I wouldn't have believed it.
Sir, this is Sleepwalker #1. This is a new Marvel hero who's going to be as big as Spider-Man.
Remember the other ones like that you thought were going to be huge, like Deathlock? Like, look at the artwork; it's amazing.
Like, this guy's the next Lobo.
now, my catalog of comics was dominated by Marvel. I had a few DC comics, but I so wasn't into them. I never liked the costumes.
Me either.
Like they were always lesser quality. It was like GoBots compared to Transformers.
So true. I feel when I was a little kid, I remember I just remember this Hawkman figure. And I remember being like 3 years old and being like, this looks like shit. Hawkman? What? This is crap.
I will admit that I did like Plastic Man, which I found out to be DC.
Oh, I didn't even know that was DC, but I always hated that because as we've discussed many times, It had that 70s sheen on it that I could not stand.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you, but Plastic Man I thought was funny for some reason. I don't know why. But since you mentioned 1966 Batman
Mm-hmm.
and that you were into it, I have a little question quiz for you
Okay.
about the 1966 Batman.
I'm ready.
Now like the Batman characters in the series all had like terrible names, like the lesser known ones. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking about like the Joker, the heavy hitters like Joker and Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman, but like the ones that were like ridiculous, like really over the top. Are you familiar with any of them off the top of your head?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Now I have some that I've made up and some that are real, and see if you could distinguish the difference between the two, if they were real or fake.
I love it.
All right, the first one, I'll give you an easy one first. Egghead.
Real.
Yes, that was played by Vincent Price.
Wow. Okay.
Made a lot of egg puns. What you'll discover is that there was a lot of famous people that played these lesser known characters that did like 1 or 2 episodes.
Love it. Go on.
All right, what about Louis the Lilac?
Louis the Lilac. Okay. This is a classic one that just feels too weird for you to have made up. But whenever I think that, I'm always wrong. So I'm going to say that you made it up.
I did not. He was played by Milton Berle.
Wow.
He was a gangster florist. Quite a background to him. How about the Scoutmaster?
That's true.
That is incorrect. That was on the Simpsons parody in the Radioactive Man movie. He was the one that said, "Don't be afraid to use your nails, boys."
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What about the Time Warper?
That's true.
I made that one up as well.
That's such a lazy one too. The Time Warper.
That was such a well. Trust me, with some of the real ones, they're real lazy as well. What about the Leech?
The Leech.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that's real.
I made that up as well. That's a lazy one too, but that seems like it could be real.
I think we should have, if we were a bigger podcast, I'd be like, can someone do the artwork for these Rusty creations?
Oh, that would be cool. What
Time
about
Warper and the Leech? Time Warper and the Leech are fighting.
You could probably imagine what they would look like, though. Like in that very campy style.
The Leech, he'd be interesting if he was like a really good guy, but he was still like a leech who like sucked blood. That's how he killed criminals. He's like, people have mixed feelings about him.
If there was a character, the Time Warper, though, he would definitely have like the upper hand on Batman.
He'd go back in time and be like, Ed, your comics are going to be worth nothing. Live your life.
What about Shame?
Shame.
Shame on you.
You know, Shame was the last film I ever saw with my dad at the New York Film Fest. Shame. Have you ever seen that with Michael Fassbender? It's a hilarious last film to see.
I thought you were talking about Shane with Alan Ladd.
No. Although my dad did reference Shane a lot. This was Shame. I'm going to say it's real.
It is real. Played by Cliff Robertson. He was actually a spoof on Alan Ladd where the character was really dumb and inarticulate. And the really bad thing is his posse included a character called Okie Annie and Calamity Jan. Pretty lazy there for the posse.
Yeah.
All right. What about Sandman?
Sandman. I'm going to say, I mean, that's like a Spider-Man guy. I'm going to say not true.
Not true, he says, but it actually is true.
Okay.
You're doing horrible on these. What about, all right, let's try this one. False Face.
False Face. I'm going to say true.
That is actually true. You got one.
Yes.
Played by, I think, Malachi Throne. I don't know that actor, but his character had a knack for disguises, which bemused the police and citizens of Gotham. And one of his plots was to release $1 million in Gotham of counterfeit money, but Batman foiled that one.
Wait, his disguises bemused the people in Gotham. Bemused is a funny word for a villain's effect on people. If you're a villain, you're like, I'm just bemusing them.
That's the description I read. That's what I came up. So that's False Face for you. He's bemusing us right now. What about the French tickler?
That's real.
No, it's the French tickler. Do you know what a French tickler is?
Wow. So we have the French tickler, the Leech, and Time Warper. Rusty's superhero team.
Wait, do you know what a French tickler is, though?
I don't know. Is it like a feather?
No, it's a ribbed condom.
A ribbed condom.
Yeah. You never heard of the term French tickler? So I want to see somebody create that character. I got tears in my eyes thinking about these characters.
What else do you have for me? Because I have a game as well.
All right, I'm wrapping this up. I got 2 more for you. The Bookworm.
That's true.
Bookworm is true, played by Roddy McDowall.
Wow.
He committed crimes based on literary works. So imagine Moby Dick.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, and actually, I got two more actually now for you. The Slumlord.
That's not true. That was.
I really went ridiculous.
I feel like that phrase is post the '60s, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just thinking of something that Batman would hate. He would really go after the slumlord.
You kidding me? Batman probably is a slumlord. He probably imagine his real estate holdings.
And my last one for you is Puzzler.
True,
and interesting. Played by Morris Evans. You love Dr. Zaius.
Wow.
He was the poor man's Riddler, and because the character who played Riddler, what was his name? Frank Gorman or something? I can't think of his name. But yeah, he was absent in the second season, so they replaced him with the Puzzler. Really interesting, though. I looked up 1966 Batman for obviously these characters' names. And did you know that Two-Face never appeared in that series?
Oh.
One of the more prominent characters. And they did have plans for him, but the show was canceled, and he was going to be played by Clint Eastwood.
Wow.
You know what I was thinking about with these Batman characters, especially the ones from the 66 series? I don't know if they're in the comic books, but like their character names were like their attributes as well. So like Bookworm was like a bookworm, and Egghead actually had an egghead. What do you think is worse, the character names for Batman or the ones for like He-Man that had the same thing?
They're both very unappealing to me.
Yeah, like they're physically like Mosquitor was just a mosquito, or Ram Man, Ram people.
Even when you're like 6 years old and into He-Man, like you outgrew it kind of early because of those names. You were like, I can't be into this name.
Yeah, at least with G.I. Joe there were code names. Like I always thought like, having a code name would be cool.
I still
like
think those are cool.
And there were cool names like Blowtorch and Beachhead, but He-Man was really weak.
That was the game, and I loved it. And we actually have 2 games tonight.
Are we going back to back?
We're going back to back, Rusty.
Holy shit.
So here is the game. We have our friend Larry is a bona fide Batman expert, certified.
He went to Harvard for this.
And Rusty, I asked you in advance to write down what you thought Larry's Batman film rankings were going to be, and I did the same. And we're going to get Larry on here to reveal his rankings. So really quick, Rusty, let's go through our lists. Let's see who ends up closer to Larry's. Right. Should I go first?
Yeah, hit me. Let's see what you got. I'm not changing anything, though. Whatever you say, it doesn't affect me.
I'm starting from the bottom. I guarantee Larry's least favorite is Suicide Squad, without a doubt.
Wait, that's included? Then there's 12 movies. Wait, the 11 I looked up didn't have Suicide Squad.
Well, look, just stay tuned. Number 10, Batman 66. Was that on your list?
Yes.
Number 9, I guarantee Larry is going to go Batman and Robin. Number 8, Justice League. Number 7, he's going to say Batman Forever. Number 6, kind of a shocker, but he recently has come around a little bit on Batman versus Superman. So I think he's going to go with that number 6. Number 5, Batman Returns, the film we're talking about today at some point. And number 4, Dark Knight Rises. Number 3, Batman 1989. And rounding out the top 2, number 2, Batman Begins. Number 1, The Dark Knight. Now let's hear your list.
All right. I might have lost because the Batman movies I looked up that said the 11 Batman movies are different than yours. So apparently there's two.
Really? Wow.
So mine is...
Willow is not a Batman movie.
Counting backwards like you did. Number 11, okay. Batman and Robin.
Okay.
Number 10, Batman vs. Superman. Number 9, Batman Forever. Number 8.
Interesting.
Number 8, Batman 66. Number 7, Lego Batman movie. I don't know why I put that so high up there. Number 6, Batman 1989.
Wow, okay.
5, Batman Begins. 4, Batman Returns. 3, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which you don't have on your list. So this could affect things.
We have a shit system. We'll be the first ones to admit it. They're like, wow, it took them a month to get another episode up, and they don't even know the rules of their own game.
Well, I don't even know how our scoring system's working yet, but anyway, so number 2, The Dark Knight Rises, and number 1, The Dark Knight.
Okay. I'm positive we're right on The Dark Knight,
Yeah.
but we'll see. All right. Well, I'm just going to invite Rusty. I'm just inviting him. He's coming in.
He's coming in
This
hot.
is going to be unedited. We're going to hear Larry struggle through this whole experience.
Wait, do we have a scoring system? Do we get a point for each one we get right? I think that makes
yes, we do. I'll be keeping track of the score.
All right. Did you write down what I have though? How do you know that I'm not going to try to?
Yeah, I wrote them all down. I wrote them all down with the podcast that's being recorded right now.
Okay. Nobody believes us. Okay, go on. Get him on the phone. Get him in here. The expert.
It's been sent.
I want to hear what Professor has to say.
There will be no editing done of this whole segment. So while we're waiting for him, we got to do some great content.
All right, I got something for you.
Oh, okay.
That I forgot to mention when we were talking about your new hair situation that there was a study last year. Some researchers led by Rafe Paus at the University of Manchester found.
I was going to say, sounds like an evil British guy. Go on.
Found that applying sandalwood to the scalp can increase hair growth. Also, just the smell of sandalwood, your hair might be able to smell, and the smell of sandalwood stimulates growth. So I'm thinking you could build yourself a house of sandalwood, and who knows, you might be cousin it.
Wow, my hair can have a sense of smell. It's already my hair is having a worse time than I thought it did. Larry's currently like in some dark alley of the World Wide Web trying to find his way here.
I thought he was still dialing up.
He might be.
Oh man. What else he got? Keep it going.
All right, we are finally joined by Larry, certified Batman expert.
Why, hello. I'm a big fan of the Joe Rogan podcast. I can't wait to get started here.
All right. I don't know what to say about that. Larry, we're here to we've gone through what we believe your rankings are going to be on these Batman movies, and very curious about where Batman Returns falls on that list. Are you ready to give us your breakdown of what we believe to be 11 Batman movies?
I went with 12, Ed. I'm not going to lie to you.
All right.
Wait, does that include the Joker? Because that might...
I am including Joker, and there's a good reason for it.
Well, that could affect everything for us. You got to take that Joker. You got to bump that Joker out.
No, we'll see who's closer, no matter what.
Well, I don't want to give anything away, but Joker is definitely better than Batman 66. Okay, so you can use that information.
Larry, I just want to reveal to you that Ed and I both have 11 Batman movies, not including the Joker, but our movies are different. So somewhere along the way, we come up with different Batman movies.
Well, here were my very specific parameters. It had to be a live action movie.
I'm fucked.
I'm
already fucked.
Yeah, and it had to be a movie, not like a TV show or a special episode. And it had to have, well, for me, I guess Bruce Wayne in it, or Batman if you prefer.
Okay.
So if you guys don't want to include Joker, fine, but I'm going to tell you where I put it anyway.
Start from your worst to the best.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think I have no flair for the dramatic? I know what I'm doing here. All right, ready?
Go.
Coming in at number 12, and this was easy. By far the worst film on this list is Suicide Squad.
I knew it.
See, you had that as 11 though, right, Ed?
Well, I had it as a last, so we all know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. How did this movie get made? It was an abomination. It was horrifying. I still can't understand why Jared Leto agreed to do that movie, because he had no role whatsoever. Awful from start to finish. So, have you guys seen that one?
The funny thing is, I've never seen it, but I've consumed hours of content complaining about it. So I feel like I've seen it. Okay, Larry, let's get that next pick.
Number 11.
Coming in at number 11, Batman 66.
I knew it.
I love how Cesar Romero refused to shave his mustache for it, and he just painted over his mustache.
Wow, that's like a DC tradition.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
All right.
Now, Larry, my pick for the next one for you is Batman and Robin. What's the next one?
Ed, we are on the same page. Batman and Robin coming in at number 10.
Nice.
For the same reason. Campy's not my style. I can't get into it. This is the second worst Bane on film I've ever seen. Bane was do you guys remember Bane in this film?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It looked good.
I'm critical of the other Bane too, but this is like a little hard to swallow. I mean, look, I love like if you go on YouTube and watch the supercuts of all of Arnold Schwarzenegger's, ice cold puns. Uh, that's a great time, but not for me. This movie.
There you have it. I'm
There
doing
you
bad
have
right
it.
now. I'm not doing well.
Yeah.
All right.
Next.
All right, coming in at number 9, a movie that is enjoyable but utterly awful is Justice League.
I knew it.
Justice League is a train wreck from the first to last scene, but it's so entertaining. Like it's
Really?
yeah, no, it's bad, but it's entertaining because it's just such a mess. I know your friends over at Red Letter Media already addressed this, but you can tell which scenes Zack Snyder directed and which scenes Joss Whedon directed. It's so jarringly off-centered. It's even colored differently. But it's so like train wrecky that it's almost worth a watch. They don't know what to do with Aquaman. He's just like, yeah, man, I'm here. All right, coming at number 8, Batman Forever.
Oh my goodness, I was close on that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's really nothing particular about it, but the behind-the-scenes stories. Have you guys heard any of those?
No, none.
Nah.
Oh, I got some good ones. Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones, when they met, Jim Carrey went up to him and put his hand out, and he said, "Hey, man, I heard we're working together. It's a pleasure to meet you." And Tommy Lee Jones' face dropped, and he looks at him and said, "I hate you." And he's like, and Jim Carrey's like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, and it's just my favorite quote, and I use this all the time. He looked at him and he said, "I cannot sanction your buffoonery." And then he walked away.
Wow.
Tommy Lee Jones and Val Kilmer were both supposedly completely insufferable on the set of that film.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey never bonded from that after that moment? They didn't like.
No.
Wow.
In fact, Jim Carrey just described him as a total jerk.
My pick for Larry's next pick is Batman vs Superman. Larry, what is it?
Damn, man, you're on fire. It's Batman vs Superman.
God.
Yes.
And I gotta say something. This movie does not deserve the venom it gets. It's not good, but it's really not bad. It's decidedly not bad. Its biggest sin is it tries to do too much. But there's really good portions of this movie that actually kind of work.
Interesting.
It's a mess, but it really wasn't that bad. I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as people were making it out to be. Coming in number 6. Now, you guys seem to really like this one, and
Batman Returns.
Yeah. Batman Returns. Look, let's be honest. This is a decent movie. It's a good Tim Burton movie, but it is not a Batman movie. I mean, it's a Tim Burton movie.
Well,
it's just like, look at me, I'm a freak, I'm so alone, and yet he's supposed to be the Penguin. It has nothing to do with anything.
Well, there you have it with that.
I would respond, except I probably already say too much about the movie throughout the podcast, so I'll let myself speak for myself.
The fact that Tim Burton actually said that he thinks comic books are for kids and he doesn't read them after he made the movie.
If Tim Burton thinks comic books are for kids, what does he think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is for?
Yeah.
Larry, let me ask you something. Could your next pick be The Dark Knight Rises?
Ed is totally just trying to move me along here, isn't he? I feel the cane around me already. I'm trying to do some witty banter here. Okay. My next pick is The Dark Knight Rises. Yes.
And you're killing it, man.
Yeah. I have to be honest with you. This film is a dud. It's not the worst thing I've seen, obviously. And there's parts of it that are pretty well done. But I don't even know what he was really trying to do here.
That's exactly right. Yeah, me too. I'm always like, this is such a weird movie. Like, what was his mission?
Yeah, and he was so clearly thematically on point with the previous 2 movies that I'm stunned that I don't know what his deal was here. And they wasted Bane, who looked cool as hell, but they did nothing with him. And they turned him into like a sad little boy at the end. I don't know. This was a letdown. And I don't know, like, even like I want to watch Nolan films, I really have any interest in watching this one. And Catwoman, they could have cut her out and it would not have changed the plot. All right, coming in number 4. I got to be honest with you, this one may be so high on the list just because of its nostalgia factor and the role that it had on me, and because I did in fact have a Bob the Goon action figure, is Batman 89. I went back and watched this one recently. I watched all the Joker movies because, I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing now. And, you know, if there's, it didn't quite hold up to my memories, but I still enjoyed the hell out of it just for what it was. It's weird how much cinema has changed in the past 30 years. Like, that was a passable action movie back then, but that wouldn't cut it today. And certainly Jack Nicholson was playing Jack Nicholson, but I happen to love Jack Nicholson, so I can watch him do Jack Nicholson. He was doing it in makeup this time, but he was Jack Nicholson.
Isn't it so bizarre, the movies? Sorry, one last thing. Isn't it so bizarre, the movies that that Batman 89 spawned? Like, when they were like, oh my God, comic book movies are going to be big. And then the ones they chose to make, like The Shadow and The Phantom and shit like that, is just like, what the fuck is this?
You're leaving out Dick Tracy? I mean, come on.
Now, let me guess, is your next pick Batman Begins?
It's kind of like when I leave the picks in, Ed, but okay. All right, I want to do a little vamping here before I get to my next pick here, Ed.
Okay.
Because these top 3 are all really special films for me. And I really, really enjoy them. And number 3 is weird because I kind of had like a meh relationship for a while. And then I watched it recently and I was like, this is a really, really good film. Yes, the third act doesn't quite hold up to the first 2 incredibly stellar acts. But when you think of it as Batman's first adventure, I guess it kind of works that it wasn't the biggest deal. And that's why number 3 is Batman Begins. This is the most definitive Batman, Bruce Wayne movie I can think of. And I love those League of Assassin, they don't call it, League of Shadow, they call them in the movies. Scenes, and then him learning how to be Batman in the second act. It's just so cool and so stellar. I loved everything about it from the casting on down. So I think it's really, it ranks so much better than I even remember when I first saw it.
I love what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And, right.
I was giving you room this time. I was giving you room this time, Larry.
I appreciate that. No, I thought you were going to comment, but nothing that strikes me with that movie is, although Christian Bale was certainly in great shape, again, this movie was 2005, and if you look how big actors get when they bulk up for superhero movies, he didn't really get all that big for Batman. He got like fit, but that was about it. And I really thought that was interesting. You know, like maybe it was the Christopher Nolan influence, not the Zack Snyder. Everyone takes steroids, and it was kind of noticeable. Like, he didn't look like Thor, but you know what he looked like? He looked like a billionaire playboy. You know, and I really, really thought they nailed it with this film, and like how the scenes where he tries to pretend to be a playboy when he's really not. Like Christian Bale played that really well. Now, if you will, the second film of the trilogy, if you like, I apologize in advance, Rusty, but it's Joker. I walked out of there and I was like, man, life is dark. You know, there's no hope, there's no empathy in this world. And maybe that was perfect for the times, and it just kind of resonated with me, and it really kind of messed up my head for a couple of days.
My God. It radicalized Larry.
It did. I am now officially an incel. I want to announce that on your podcast. Yeah, no, it's I mean, it is an incel, like, you know, playlist, if you will. But it's so well done, and it's so disturbing, and it shows you that these films can be art too. And I suspect that we're going to get a lot more artsy films starring Deadpool or starring Spider-Man coming our way. As the film industry continues to change. So this is a movie that like emotionally evocative, but I really enjoyed the hell out of it. And it makes a nice little second part to a kind of a little trilogy. One film about Batman, one film about Joker.
I was ready to not like it, just to be on the right side politically, but I actually enjoyed it.
To get a few more rates and reviews on your podcast.
I'll do anything. I'll do whatever it takes, Larry.
Now, there should be a trend you're noticing here, Ed. So we have the definitive Batman movie. We have the definitive Joker movie.
Yes.
Why don't we put the two together? Now, Rusty, I'm guessing you got this one right? Number one.
This would be the only one I got right. Unbelievable.
There was no competition here. This is the ultimate. It may be the best movie I've ever seen.
Whoa!
Really high up. Yeah, no, I'm comfortable saying that. Yeah, I think so. It's an incredible movie. Do you disagree? It's not a top tier movie yet.
No, it's a top tier movie. Whatever that means, I'll sign on. I definitely like it a lot, and I do have one question though for you, Larry. Do you know the difference between you and me?
What's that?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Yeah. You know what? You know what works about the movie is you can tell Christopher and Jonathan Nolan sat down and had a theme in mind, and that's what they wanted to do first. And as you know from being a writer, Ed, if you start with a theme, the story just kind of goes from there. And they just told this incredible allegory of society, of a city, in 2 hours and 30 minutes, and it's a definitive Batman vs. Joker film in my mind. Heath Ledger is the definitive Joker. Joaquin Phoenix was great, but Heath Ledger is the Joker because there is no Joker without Batman at the end of the day. This movie just works on every level. You can make the argument that, okay, Batman doesn't have too much to do in this movie, oddly enough. But if you watch Batman Begins right before that, then you don't really need much more Batman exposition. So in my mind, this movie just works, and some amazing performances. Aaron Eckhart doesn't get enough credit for his role in this movie. He was so good in this film. I love the scene with him in the restaurant with Bruce Wayne, and he's talking about, either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Is that true in your experience, Larry?
Oh, good God, yes.
But so
that was crazy.
Hey, and we're back, everybody. Wow. Always great to have a Batman expert, Larry, dropping in. We had a great time. But Rusty, what was it like for you to watch this movie with modern eyes?
I actually enjoyed it a lot, more than I thought I would, and I actually rank it very high.
Oh, me too.
List.
This is the only Batman movie I relate to.
Yeah, I actually would say I think Dark Knight's a better movie, but I actually enjoyed Batman Returns more.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean,
I put on Dark Knight, Rusty. I just want to say, why so serious? Help me. Cut all that out.
No, I'll keep it in there. Well, I hope you have some impressions of Penguin, Catwoman. Watching this movie, I was saying to myself, who is the star of this? Who's the main character? Because I find all like the villainous characters way more interesting.
The main character, I feel like, was the three big sets.
Oh,
it felt, the whole movie feels like you're in a house, and it's like the Gotham City Square set is like the living room. You're like, oh, we're back in the living room, and then it's like the garage. Yeah, the basement is where Penguin lives.
Yeah.
And then the garage is where the Batcave is. And then I guess there's like the Wayne Mansion also, or Wayne Manor.
I thought
but it feels it's Shrek's office too. Yeah, it feels. I mean, obviously it feels deliberately old school, but it almost feels stage bound to an extent that I was like, I'm actually kind of a tiny bit bothered by it.
Yeah, I can see that. Just jumping into it with the opening scene.
Mm-hmm.
It appealed to me because this is obviously Tim Burton. You haven't seen this movie, but it was a Pee-wee's Big Adventure reunion where Penguin's father and mother was played by I can't think of the character's name from Pee-wee's Big Adventure now. What's her name? The French one. I don't remember shit, but I know the actress. And then Jan Hooks is in this movie as well, so you got the full Pee-wee's Big Adventure reunion.
Wow, I can't believe I haven't seen that film. No one can believe that.
That was going to be my next pick, but it actually isn't. So
this opening scene where the Penguin is born and he's born a freak, and they put him in like a cage. Rusty, Tim Burton's parents, what did they do to this kid? His dad must be like, kid, what did I do? I sent you to art school.
Yeah. I thought you had a bit.
Rusty, remember when I was going to work as a pizza delivery guy, and then my parents wouldn't let me get the job at the place?
Yeah, because of that like incident with like a pizza guy being like that was the famous one where the guy got the head bomb.
No, that wasn't. That head bomb was. I wish I was that young.
Wait, but there was something that happened, and your dad thought it was too dangerous.
That head bomb thing happened when I was 40. I was like, oh, I won't want that to happen to my neck. I'm already sore as it is.
What character?
I don't know, but I was saying, I went to this pizza place. It said help wanted delivery drivers. I went in, I talked to the guy, I got the job. I told my parents. They said, you can't do it. It's too dangerous. Even though I was a pizza boy for a different place like 6 months later, so I don't know what changed. But then I never went back to that pizza place. No. And Rusty, the guy said to you, he was like, why he don't come in here anymore? It's not like I'm going to punch him in the face.
He also said, it's not like I said a fuck you to him. Now we're doing an impression, but this is exactly how he sounded. So, but where are we at now with Penguin?
They throw this baby in a river. Rusty, he's floating down that river as the credits happen. Very sedate credit sequence. People would not go for that. No. They'd be like, someone's got to be shooting at the baby.
I don't know if this is a positive. I think it is, but this movie is kind of timeless because I have no idea what time period this is where he's born. Yeah. It seems like it could be like the 1800s.
That's true. It's interesting in that way.
Very like affluent society. Like they're dressed in like top hats and coattails, pushing like an old style like carriage, ditching the baby. I mean, but the parents though, I mean, do you think they had any remorse about abandoning their baby?
I don't think they acted very well. I don't agree with what they did.
It's very honorable of you. But how did the baby survive? I know we see the shadow of the penguins, but what the hell are the penguins going to do?
Well, they made him into a penguin.
Well, he was born a freakish penguin. I have this one question, and I think I know the answer, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but how did he get involved with the clown posse? How did he get them into the sewers?
I think there was like a line when Batman is researching it.
Is that where...
they're like fugitives or something?
Oh, is that what it was? I thought... All right, so I was wrong. I thought it was like the kids that he kidnapped, and I thought he raised them to be like freaks like himself and to commit crime.
I'd love to see a prequel about this.
Okay. Well, where's our Batman expert? We got to get him back on the phone.
We lost him too soon.
But during this opening credits, what did you think of the score by Danny Elfman? I think he scores a lot of Tim Burton movies.
Wow. Jeez.
Oh, Tim Burton? I know he does like a million other things, but I didn't know.
No, they had a tension during this film, apparently.
Really?
And then a big falling out after Nightmare Before Christmas. Allegedly because Danny Elfman was thinking he was going to be the singing voice and the talking voice of Jack Skellington, and didn't know until the premiere. And he saw that his voice had been replaced by Chris Sarandon, friend of the show. Tears streaming down his cheeks.
Is this true?
No. So, Rusty, here's something controversial I have to say about the film. In the opening scene, it's the lighting of the Christmas tree, which I loved.
Mm-hmm.
Watching this is Mr. Penguin. And Alfred is uselessly carrying a red bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, the one thing I'll give, well, not the one thing, but one of the things I'll give the Nolan movies, Michael Caine as Alfred, love him.
Yeah.
I've never loved this guy.
Yeah. Do you know the actor's name on that one, or it doesn't matter?
I think it's Michael Goth. I'm not sure if it's Goth or Go or how you say it.
Goth? Go? I don't know.
I mean, is it?
Well, he's deceased, so you're not offending him.
But yeah, I've never known, like, I assume he's like an old famous actor that I kind of just missed at some point, but I just never thought he had much of an appeal.
He comes across more just like a butler, not more like tech savvy and like useful. Yeah. So what's your issue with the red gift though? That you just hate it?
No, I liked it. It was just very
It kind of has that like Schindler's List feel with the red coat and the little girl. Not as powerful, but you know what I mean.
Interesting comparison.
Well, I mean, it drives that point home.
So
moving along.
So then we meet Shrek, played by Christopher Walken.
I love Christopher Walken in this.
Yeah, he's really good.
I feel like he reprised his role from A View to a Kill, the Max Zorin character. That same kind of shrewd businessman that's a little bit crazy. But I think he does that character so well. Did you know that the interesting thing is, did you know that David Bowie was originally offered the role as Max Shrek?
Do you know that's eerie because tonight is the 4-year anniversary of his death, which is true.
Is that true?
He died we're recording this on January 10th. He died on January 10th, 2016.
Well, he was also offered the role as Max Zorin in A View to a Kill. So that's even eerier.
The creepy thing, Rusty, is some people say he still haunts this podcast.
Get out the Ouija board. What would he think? Don't do a Paul McCartney impression. Try your David Bowie.
I can't. I can't. I'm not even going to try, and I don't know if about David Bowie to even make a joke. But we're introduced to Michelle Pfeiffer in this scene, who plays Catwoman. Another amazing. I mean, that's the thing about this movie is like all the performances are so good. It's just so fun watching all of them.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer was described as the most naturally gorgeous woman in Hollywood.
Okay, who said this? Harvey Weinstein? What is this?
A makeup artist who obviously worked with many actresses and said that she was the most naturally gorgeous. Hey, that's a compliment. It's not creepy, Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, we'll see if it gets left in.
The only issue I had with Michelle Pfeiffer in this movie, though, is her eyes were so overly red. Like even in scenes where it didn't command that.
I did notice that. Was there any backstory? Was she like allergic to something, or was that supposed to be? Was that intentional?
I feel like some scenes it should have been intentional, but maybe she was allergic to her cats or something. I don't know. I mean, she was kind of that like cat lady character, had her like idiosyncrasy. So possibly, maybe she was just an outsider a bit with some red eyes. Maybe she was like C-3PO when his eyes got red.
Yeah, I love it. Rusty, when she's pouring the coffee and she's like bending over so awkwardly.
Yeah.
Do you remember when she's doing that? When she's pouring the coffee?
Yeah.
I was reminded of, I once temped for this producer, Mark Canton. This is like right after film school.
Mm.
And you probably don't know who he is, but he's like a old time famous producer.
I didn't even know you temp.
It was only for a week and it was a disaster.
Did you quit or were you fired?
Well, it was only a 1 week long job,
okay.
but they must have told the staffing place, they must have been like, never send us this guy ever again. I was so bad at it. So this guy, Mark Canton, some listeners probably know who he is, but I can barely I just know that he did some big movies back in the day. I think he was like the chairman of Columbia in the 80s. So I feel like he was like, did Fletch or something. I don't fucking know, but he's kind of a big producer. And so I was the assistant to his assistant, kind of like the second assistant.
Mm.
But his assistant was such an asshole and like wouldn't explain anything to me. He's like, oh, the phone rings. If it's his brother, dial 135, hang up, they'll go to his cell. And I was like, dial what? And he's like, 135. And I was like, okay. And then hang up. And he's like, well, you got to connect first. I was like, what? So like the first call that came in, I like fucked up. And the guy was like, dealing with an idiot. I was like, I heard him say that. But I got to say about Mark Canton, this guy couldn't even fucking walk to his car. Like the assistant had to walk him to his car. Otherwise he would get lost.
Oh my God.
So, and the assistant's taking shit out on me. Hey, Mark Canton, if you're listening right now, fuck you.
I feel like
But one time he had like the whole point of my story is one time he had a big meeting and I had to go in and like fill up everyone's tea. And I was seriously like Michelle Pfeiffer in this thing. I was like so awkward because I was just like, don't spill everything everywhere. And I was like, here, Splenda, did you want Splenda?
I cannot see you in that role at all. That is something that you're not qualified to do.
Not at all. That was so bad.
Oh man. Are you like the Penguin where you're just making a list? You're in the Hall of Records, just writing down people's names to get revenge on?
I will say that one of the moments I deeply related to was a Penguin moment.
Was it when he was riding the little mini Batmobile car?
No, that's a secondary moment now that I think about it.
Are you going to reveal it now or is this more of a tease?
No, I'm waiting to get back on track.
Okay.
You just keep talking.
Let's get back. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to create content.
So Michelle,
yes.
What?
I was going to say people like the more when we go off topic. I was trying to get into that. I was trying to deliver.
Shrek goes to talk to the masses in the living room.
Yes.
But he forgot his speech. Mm-hmm. Rusty, I love when he says, "Remind me to take it out on what's her name."
He's so good in this movie.
But then the penguin attacks. I have to say, one thing that's always bothered me is that the Triangle Gang is like using machine guns. It doesn't feel right.
Well, they don't. Did they actually use them? They're just menace with them.
It's interesting because like it seems like they're shooting at people, but they're never hitting. Yeah. So it just makes it it gives everything a weird quality.
Didn't you think that the people got too terrified too quickly when they burst out of that present? Like that was quite a spectacle. You think people would love that at first.
It's true. And then later when the baby's kidnapped, people don't react at all.
How big is Gotham City? It seems like at this tree lighting event, there's like maybe 60 people there.
Gotham City is actually a 1 block area.
It's got some big sky rises though. It's got the Shrek building. You know, when Max Shrek approaches the podium and he throws out the gifts, what did you imagine he was throwing out to everyone? Like, what's a good gift? Like a good generic gift?
Headphones. Good headphones. That's a great generic gift.
That is a really good gift. Because I was going to say, because you once mentioned that you were going to get somebody a mint on card LJ and Roddy Piper as a gift for someone that you didn't really know.
Oh yeah. So I'm still going to do that. No, I know him enough to know that he would like wrestling.
So other than that, you would go headphones.
Oh, headphones is a great generic gift.
I thought you would need more thought on that. You nailed that one. I had nothing. I was just like, what would you get? A coffee maker? An espresso?
Well, I give headphones to everyone I meet. They call me a headphone guy. So when the penguin attacks, when the circus gang attacks and the bat signal goes up, Rusty, this is the first moment I really relate to.
Really?
When the signal goes through all the places and you see Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne, obviously. Yeah. You see Bruce Wayne just sitting in the chair as if he was waiting for that bat signal to hit him. That is so me. That is so me.
What was he reflecting on? He was really just sitting there pondering something about his parents still? Is he not over that?
Well, I think the idea is just that he doesn't exist until that signal turns on. He's only Batman.
Oh, interesting take. I thought maybe he was reflecting about fighting the Joker or like Vicky Vale leaving. A little connection to the first movie.
So Batman, Rusty, drives into the living room and he starts fighting these guys. A very shocking moment here because Batman famously doesn't kill anyone. And when he turns the Batmobile around and like sets the guy on fire.
Yeah.
Rusty, I want to do that at my bachelor party.
I do notice Batman's much more sadistic in this movie.
He's definitely killing several people.
He's not even really aware of what their crimes. They're pretty petty crimes to warrant murdering them.
Yeah, I guess at this point they're just guilty of menacing.
And he seems to enjoy it though. That's why. Like he's so jaded as like, oh God, I'm being called again. I'm just going to fucking kill some people this time. Yeah, I don't know. Like, and is the commissioner okay with this? He's like, Batman, man, can't keep covering up for you killing all these people.
So then Batman saves Catwoman, and just a great exchange here when she's like, "Your choice, of course." Like, I don't know, she's just her acting so good here. What can I say?
I was going to say, did you know? Obviously, I'm sure you knew that Michael Keaton did not want to do this movie, and I think they gave him a substantial paycheck for it that the studio didn't want to do, but they really needed him to return, and I think he agreed to return if they didn't make it a direct sequel. So I think that was part of the issue. But
so in the next big scene, Shrek ends up getting kidnapped by the penguin. I love when the penguin snaps at Shrek's face.
Oh yeah.
When Penguin is like, "I've been down here too long." I've been there, brother.
But the thing I noticed is like Shrek, we see Shrek in that underworld and he's like looking around in astonishment, but he's like, it seems like he just woke up there, but he was brought to that area. Like he doesn't play that scene right. I feel, I still like it, but
yeah, like
you wouldn't act that way because you were obviously led into that area and you would see that there was like the gang and Penguin and the penguins and like, oh, somebody's been living here, but I don't know, unless they blindfolded him, which I feel like they negotiate very quickly.
They do, but it's also kind of a long. Like this scene gets a little weird. So I can't remember who the writer was, but Daniel Walters or Waters. But he wrote Heathers, and Tim Burton brought him in to rewrite the first version of this. But there's a few scenes that seem a little awkward, and this scene is like their conversation is kind of awkward. It's just like, this is long.
Do you think Penguin at this point was a villain? Do you think he always had intentions of getting revenge? Or you think he got that way once he started to get more power?
It's
because it seems initially that he just felt that he was resented for being a perceived monster.
Part of my issues with the movie, like, I like it, but sort of the sequence of events and the structure of events is a little weird in places. And the Penguin and his plot and what his feelings are, that's one of them.
Did you like Danny DeVito as the Penguin?
I love him. I mean, I like him in general, and in this movie, I love him. Actually, I didn't like him when I first saw this movie. I remember first seeing this in 1992. I even remember who I went with.
Who did he go with?
And I remember not liking it.
Really?
Dan Oliva.
And you didn't like it initially?
Yeah, I was kind of let down by it. I thought it was like weird in a bad way, and I just remember that year is like a bad year to be a film critic when you're like 13 or whatever or 14. Like, I remember seeing Bram Stoker's Dracula, and also like, you would think things were cheesy that weren't really like, I didn't realize it was intentional. Like all the props were like practical, and things looked a little fake. Like I thought that was cheesy.
Where I will agree with you, I was completely consumed by 89 Batman. Like I was into the merch. I was into like...
You shaved the bat signal to the back of your head, as I recall.
There was kids that did that. I don't think I was allowed to do it. But anyways, with Batman Returns, I wasn't quite into it. Like I didn't get any... into I didn't like buy any merchandise or
exactly.
I didn't have any posters or any of that stuff. So I saw the movie. I don't remember if I think I was just kind of like blah about it. Where 89 Batman, Jesus Christ, that was like the best movie I ever saw at that point. It's like,
yeah, it was. I remember. I still remember where I was when I saw that. I still remember like the feeling after and being like, I gotta see that again. And
you know how sometimes it's like the little things that mean a lot.
Yeah.
In life, and certain memories stand out. And I remember being in Sunrise Mall in Massapequa where I saw Batman 89. My mom took me and our mutual friend Eric, and beforehand, because I think we got to the mall early, we were walking around the mall, and I saw in like, I don't know which store it was, like a Spencer's kind of thing, they had Batman shirts in pins and stuff, and my mom let me and Eric get a shirt in like 2 pins each, and I thought that was like the greatest thing. I was just like, put the shirt on right away, put the pins on the shirt, and ready to see Batman. And it's a very definitive moment.
But it's funny, the weird little things about it. Like I remember thinking that Robert Wool,
is
that his name? Wool, the guy from Arliss.
Yeah, Arliss.
I remember thinking as a kid, like his character was hilarious. Like that was kind of my first, like like kind of like the dry humor guy. I was just like, oh, these scenes are so good. Then the Batman scenes are amazing.
See, I was a jock, so I was just like, this guy's a loser. He's never going to get Vicky Vale. Well, I thought you would relate more to Bob the Goon.
I always hated Bob the Goon.
I did try
from the moment I saw him.
Oh yeah, I don't think anybody liked him. I think even Larry had like all the figures, and he had the Bob the Goon figure, and I always hated him. It's just like, oh, fuck, why does he have this guy? But I tried to capitalize on Batman 89, where I would do drawings and pins and stuff, and I would try to sell them to classmates. That was one of my first business ventures.
I want one.
Didn't do that well. And I remember thinking, like, doing the drawings, and eventually they started to rush them to produce more, but thinking, like, holy shit, this could be like a movie poster. It was horrible. It was complete shit. Although for Batman Returns, I did do, the Oswald Cobblepot poster, that he's like mayor poster, campaign poster. I did do that, and that one came out better, but I didn't try to sell it.
Rusty, what if you got him accidentally elected? What a disaster that would have been for our hometown. This guy's the Lenny Riefenstahl of Seaford.
Oh.
Cedar Creek Park. Actually, there's a lot of aspects of our town I feel like Penguin would have been like, oh, the sewage treatment plant. I don't have to build one. It's already here.
Yeah. There wouldn't be much work for him to do. It's just like they have a abundance of sludge.
Well,
their canals are fucking murky and green, toxic.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Do you remember we used to it's funny because I mentioned this guy's name like 10 times and I usually don't bleep it out. I'm not going to say it this time, but We used to catch crabs off of his dock in the canal, and we used to eat them. Isn't that fucking disgusting? Isn't that disgusting?
Yeah, you're making me sick right now. I don't know. I might have to hang up on you. What do you mean you ate them? What kind of crabs?
Like, I don't know what they were. I mean, part of me is like blue claw, but I have no fucking clue.
Wait,
they were crabs.
Were they like soft shell crabs where you could just like cook them and eat the whole thing?
Yeah.
Where were you cooking?
They were
like what? You just took them inside and boiled them?
Yeah, in his house. They were like, if you looked over like the bulkhead of like the dock, you would see them on like the little shelf below, and then you just get the net and get them.
Man, that is disgusting. I'm surprised you're still alive.
Ay caramba.
Although, if you wind up living to be like 130 years old, I think you might be able to attribute that to eating weird crabs out of the canal. It like mutated your cells.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Imagine it's like
they always said he had crabs. Now he is one.
I'm hoping you turn it to like Brundlefly. You turn it to a Doherty crab.
That would happen right when I meet like the Gina Davis figure of my life.
Imagine.
And we're falling in love.
Oh, that's disgusting. Your teeth are pulling. You're pulling out your teeth into this little crab thing. All right. Yeah, with Penguin though, I don't know if he is truly a villain in this movie. I think he becomes that way with power, like most people. Corruption. Power leads to corruption.
The funny thing about how this movie, it was so quickly, like Jack Nicholson as the Joker in the '89 Batman was like the above the title credit. It was like Jack Nicholson, Batman. Like the villain being a star was like established.
Yeah.
And so the thing about this movie is like it feels like a lot of big rooms, not a lot, like 3 big rooms, and a couple of celebrities keep bumping into each other. Like there's like no one else in the city. It's like Catwoman, Batman, and Penguin all like walk down different streets. They're like, oh, hello there. Like, what is this?
It is really weird when we first get a glimpse of Penguin interacting with Batman. It's just like, why are they both just there? Both just walking down the street. Oh, and here
but
comes
then Catwoman just walks up, but we're not there yet. I gotta say, when Catwoman goes home to her cat and we see that she has a Murphy bed, didn't make that much sense to me because she already has 2 rooms.
Yeah.
If it was like a studio, I'd be like, yeah. But to have a Murphy bed, you got a 2-room apartment?
Yeah, I didn't remember this movie that well, but I do remember her apartment and thinking it was cool. Like at the time.
Yeah.
I like with the neon lights.
Oh, if I traveled in time, I would tell myself, Mike, you're not going to believe this, but your comics will be worth nothing. You're going to be 41 and single, and you're never going to own a Murphy bed. Or like as an adult, you're not going to have one of those electric lightning ball things. I'm like, what?
Wait, electric ball thing.
Yeah, like the Spencer Gifts light ball lightning thing.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking. I always would see them in catalogs and be like tap on the page, like I need that. I need that. Yeah. That was always that was a gift when the school would make you sell shit, like books or whatever they made you sell. The wrapping paper.
Yeah.
Remember that? And like one of the gifts was like that ball. Look, what are they called? They're not called.
I don't know what they're.
It's not called like a Tesla ball or something, right?
I don't know.
It looks
I wonder who invented that. Who invented it?
Tesla.
Was there one family who controlled like the business?
Yeah, well,
how do we get rich? Well, I'll tell you. You know those balls? No, we don't know what we call them either. That's the funny thing.
I had to have a name. That I always wanted. I always wanted a lava lamp, which I never had.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I was 13 and thought I was going to be like a bohemian with my lava lamp.
Yeah. I did think lava lamps were pretty awesome once I had access to one.
Oh, wait, you in later life or in like your teenage years?
When I was 35, I treated myself.
You made it big. You saw the script.
When I was in 11th grade or so, and we converted John Foot's basement into like our punk zone, or 10th grade actually, because it was more of like our grunge zone.
Yeah.
And we had a lava lamp, and I was like, I can't believe this thing's amazing.
That is really an amazing time period in your life when you could like go out and like go garbage picking for stuff and find like pretty interesting things and like decorate somebody's basement because it's like your pad and your hangout. Like you had a fucking Subway booth in your basement.
Yeah, I still like that thing.
Yeah, but I mean, imagine now, like you're in your 40s, you have like a girl come over and you have a fucking random garbage, and you're like, the place is cool, pretty like eclectic mix of stuff.
Well, I feel like the subway thing would be kind of cool. Maybe.
Yeah, I remember I got a copy of Abby Hoffman's Steal This Book, and he had like furniture idea designs like for free. Like go to like a boatyard and get one of those like big spindle things and use that as a table. And I was just like, that would be cool to do. Like have an apartment of all that stuff. And of course, that I got older, I was just like, no, I want nice things. Like I'm working for it.
Yeah. You lose your innocence in that way.
Yeah. Let's go back.
Speaking of losing innocence, Catwoman, she forgot the file. She goes back to Shrek's. And Rusty, this scene between her and Christopher Walken, when she's revealing like what she knows about the power plant and he's clearly deciding to murder her, is so well acted and well shot and just a great scene.
Watching it again, because I obviously didn't remember it. It was amazing. Like both of them are so good in it, the way they play off each other. But I even love when Christopher Walken convinces her for a moment that he was just joking about killing her.
Yeah.
And like laughs. Oh my God, that's brilliant. Can you play a clip of that? Can you insert that?
Yes, I can.
You know what Jendo said to me about Selena Kyle?
What?
She said that Selena Kyle is the epitome of a nice guy, but in the female version. Would you agree to that?
Okay. I don't think so. I'm not sure. No, I'm going to say I don't agree, but I don't really know what I guess I know what she means, but also I don't really think she's like, I think Selena Kyle's way too awkward to be like a nice guy in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely awkward, but is she entitled in some way that she feels like she's owed a guy?
I'm not sure.
She has like weird interactions with herself and with people on the street.
Can I give you a message to deliver to Jen?
Yeah, I could do that.
Ask her, how can you be so mean to someone so meaningless?
That's good.
Yeah. I remember you said that line, Rusty, when we got those 19 one-star reviews.
2020, we still can't move on from that.
Nope. That's part of my penguin origin story.
Yeah.
When they see my hands come out of the sewer, like, oh, I know how we ended up down there.
Yeah. So Max pushes Selena Kyle out the window. She falls, God knows how many stories, and somehow kind of survives, but her personality is forever changed. In the scene, we see cats coming to her and kind of eating her.
Yeah.
Or fucking her up.
I remember I still remember when I first saw this, not liking that or thinking like her face looked weird when she's looking up. Like something about this bothered me when I first saw it as a kid. I don't know why. Who can say why?
The one thing that did bother me about this movie, of like her fall or when Batman's like hanging off the ledge, like the green screen that they have, it's so dated looking. Like it just looked so phony. Or when she's flying away on the Penguin's umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just like, sorry, that old like green screen effect.
Yeah.
But not done in a good way. But yeah.
Probably blue screen back then.
Yeah, that's true. But when she's being feasted on by the cats, what animal would you like for yourself to get that power?
Komodo dragons.
You become like Reptile though from Mortal Kombat. Is that what you want?
Yes.
Like 10-year-old me would say scorpions. I'd be like, that would be awesome to have the powers of a scorpion.
I'd much rather be like a reptile guy than like a skeleton guy.
Oh.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Oh, wait, you're talking about Mortal Kombat? I'm talking about the actual fucking what is that, an arachnid? Is Scorpion arachnid? Who knows? But
I don't know.
I would probably be the Marvel comic influence on me. I'd be like Wolverines, turn into Wolverine. That'd be cool.
Hey bub, rate and review. This is one thing I realized about myself when I was watching this film. When Catwoman comes home, I just keep calling her Catwoman. When she comes home and destroys her apartment, just like in Step Brothers when they're sleepwalking and they're destroying stuff.
Yeah.
Those are like my favorite scenes. Like if ever I was like dying and I was part of like the Make-A-Wish Foundation, I would be like, I want to like be blindfolded and hitting a piñata, but then get turned the wrong way, and I just want to be stumbling around, smashing everything obliviously.
That's your Make-A-Wish. Should it be your place? Does that matter?
Oh, it has to be the British Museum. The Rosetta Stone was destroyed today in what critics are calling a misguided use of the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Is that actually where the Rosetta Stone is in London?
Yes, very inconvenient flying there whenever I have to translate hieroglyphics. Well, but the Egyptians loved cats. You know what they said about that King Tut, Rusty?
What did they say?
Man, I like how that one cat, when Catwoman's wrecking the place,
Yeah.
I like how that one cat is like, hey, chill.
Have you ever had a tantrum like that where you destroyed your shit?
Not yet.
As the adult in me, I mean, I have a temper when I play video games, but the adult in me would be like, oh my God, what's she doing? Oh, she's doing more. That's just a lot of cleaning up. But like even like stuff that she cherishes, like those tchotchkes that she just like smashes.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. I'm just thinking if something happened where I went ballistic on my collectibles, the pain I would feel.
It's like the end of the conversation when Gene Hackman like destroys his apartment, except it's like your toy room.
Yeah.
You're just like opening every box and like taking everything that was minted package out of the package.
Oh my God, Jen would have to call the police because she would know something was seriously wrong with me.
See, what are you doing?
You should see. Oh, this is not content, but you should see the basement now. It's awesome. It looks like a fucking. It looks like what I dreamed as a child, like coming home to a room of cool shit.
I bet it's like as good of a place. Like if we went to it as a store, we'd be psyched.
We went to stores recently, and we're very let down. Person that would go in there would be like, holy shit, I want all this stuff.
I think we held back on making fun of this at the time out of niceness.
Yeah.
But remember that one store we went to that was just like a garbage heap?
Yes, I do. I reference it to Jen
That's
every once
so
in a while.
awkward.
And she's just like, you're still talking about that? Leave the guy alone. I'm just like, no, it's...
Oh my God.
First
of all, how do you afford the rent? That's my question.
Well, it was being held up by tinfoil, so it couldn't be that much rent.
Well, yeah, but it's still in like wasn't that like in Huntington or something? Maybe we should say the town, but it seemed like a town where rent would be expensive.
It was really a case of, I don't even remember the place or where it was, so that's a good thing. But it was really a case of if you went through your stuff that you had as a kid and you put all the good stuff aside and you're like, well, here's a lot of broken shit. I'm just going to sell this in my store. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Incomplete shit.
Incomplete shit and just the most off-brand, not in a good way.
No, not like
stuff.
Not stuff that people like collectors seek out. It's like a collector would be like, why am I wasting my time?
Yeah, Submarine Man? What the fuck is this?
One of the best.
Space Place. You're just like, oh, this is so gross. Yeah, like a random like Secret Wars figure. Actually, not even.
No, it's not even that good. I recently came across a clip of, remember that show ISIS?
No, I just remember the group I'm joining.
I knew when I started that I was setting you up for something, but it was the show based on the Egyptian goddess. I hope I'm saying that right.
Egyptian goddess? I think you said it right.
Okay. Well, I don't know. But the actress that plays her, whatever, it's so that time period looking, and the effects, like you're saying, like she'd spin around and develop like the abilities. Much like Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman also spun around, right?
Rusty, did you notice that when Catwoman was making the suit, the color scheme was pink and green in the same style as the film Vamp?
Oh, yeah. I did not recognize that.
Michelle Pfeiffer's sister, Dee Dee Pfeiffer, was in Vamp.
Oh, that's true.
You know, I bet her and the gaffer had a long conversation that day.
You think so?
Now, Rusty, when she covered her apartment in graffiti, remember when she covered her apartment in graffiti?
Yeah. Yeah, especially that cat shirt. She really took it out on that thing.
I once knew a guy who covered his whole apartment in graffiti.
Never a good look.
No, not at all. And if you said anything funny, he would be like, "Oh, that's going on the wall," and you'd be like, "Wait, it's not even that funny. Don't write this." And then like he'd write it out and like write your name next to it, and you'd be like, "Oh, it's like that's not even that clever." Now it's on his wall.
I feel like that only appeals to like a 15-year-old. Like, cool, man.
It was definitely very adolescent. Although some could argue that it was Twitter before Twitter, but. One time, I swear to God, we had like his window open and we heard people walking by and someone said, "Look, that guy has spray painted his whole apartment." And the other person said, "Oh, what an idiot."
Wait, where is this guy now?
Oh, he's dead.
Is that true? You seem to know a lot of dead people.
Yeah, that's why they call me Ghost Dad. Don't even know what that means. So
nobody knows that. Nobody knows that reference.
The mayor is back. Oh yeah, and it's
wait. Yeah.
Oh, nothing. What?
Oh, did you start humming when she started sewing that Catwoman suit and she was sewing on not a Mister, but a Belvedere sewing machine?
I missed that detail.
Oh, I thought for sure you would have started saying dropkick jacket.
Well, I watched this film on my Watchman, so it was difficult to make out details.
If you could go back in time and tell me that we would have like smartphones now, you could watch like live TV. Like I thought Watchmen was like revolutionary. I was like, that would change my life if I could get hold of one of those. That was the like pinnacle of technology for me. If you were like 8 years old and you got a glimpse for like 2 minutes of 2020 right now, of everything that we have now, would your mind have been able to process it?
No, I would have come back. It would have been like in a movie when when Kate Blanchett learns everything at the end of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and she's like, I know everything, and like laser shoot out of her eyes. That would have been me.
Oh, that's like the character in Dan's book.
Hey, no spoilers. I have not read it yet.
Oh, wait, you said you started reading it on the last episode.
I was promoting the book. That's the dark secret that Dan has found out via this episode. Dan's probably been wondering this whole time. He's like, Ed was up to page 75. Then he never mentioned it again. Well, Dan, it was a deception.
You should definitely read it because, I mean, anybody should read it. It's fun, but you should read it because you know Dan for many years, and reading about these characters, you're gonna be like, that's so Dan. That's so Dan. Dan's definitely done this.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
forgot I know the guy. Like
I'm reading it and I stop every like several paragraphs. I'm just like, this is Dan, Jen. This is like my friendship with Dan over the years. Really? This is things he's done. Yeah.
Wow. This book's probably a good way to figure out how to manipulate him. Yeah. Turn him into the perfect weapon. Turn Dan into a killer that I'll get back at society by using him.
Imagine you really did. Imagine you had Dan start committing murders on your behalf.
Like
I got another job for you.
Yeah. I've been reprogrammed.
Oh man.
I can't stop. He can't control his body, but he can still die. He's like, Duck, I'm about to open fire, Duck.
Dan will appear at our friend Larry's apartment. And Larry's just like, what are you doing here? He's like, I don't want to do this, but I've been programmed to. Have him kill Larry. Oh man. This is what's in store for 2021.
Speaking of Batman, when he's watching, I like when he's watching that TV and he's like, I hope he finds his parents. And such an old school big screen TV. That's what we thought fucking big screen TVs were back then.
Oh man, yeah, that was like the theater room dream I had. That was the TV size.
Here's the question. But so Batman is like, he's watching the TV. He's like, I hope he finds his parents. And then in the next scene, it's like he doesn't believe Penguin anymore. And it was like, why the sudden change?
I know. Doesn't he say in that scene? He says like, I hope he finds his parents, right? He actually says that aloud to Alfred. Okay.
And then like in the next scene, he's researching and Alfred's like, oh, must you be the only like animal, like weird orphan animal or whatever? And it's just a weird sudden change. But then I love, one of my favorite moments is when Batman is just driving around and it just feels like driving around pointlessly, like in your youth.
Yeah. Wait, before you get to that though, I just want to say one thing.
Okay.
He's a billionaire, right? So we know that, but he has his like own microfiche in his cave looking at him. Just like, oh, I'm investing that, throw money at that, get all the footage.
That was
all the little clip things you put in.
Oh my God. I mean, as I'm sure you recall, like in our youth, we'd be using those machines for like reports and shit.
Oh, they sucked too. I hated them.
It really sucked. That sucked. That whole experience was fucking horrible. Like when you would get like an essay assigned, you got to like, go to the library and like go through that. I remember like I had to do a paper on Madame Curie, who's pretty famous. And I remember going to our library. I couldn't even get anything. Like I could barely find anything.
Do you remember going to the library and just going to the encyclopedia and be like, okay, so I'm going to cite the encyclopedia and see what else I can get, and you find nothing.
It was always like the encyclopedia and like a article from like Crackpot Monthly of like from like 1972.
Yeah. Outdated ideas. That was a horrible time period. Anytime you had to do research, it was really.
I think I've mentioned this before, but my lowest moment was a paper that I wrote for a Bible as Literature class. It's like one of those college classes when you're like a senior or whatever. And my paper was the location of the Lost Ark. And it was just like I had found some like crackpot book. I basically just like wrote up its file. I was just like, the Lost Ark is in Ethiopia. And like my professor was like, this is shameful work you've done. I actually remember he wrote, this is spurious nonsense. And I was like, I got to look up spurious.
I love when you can remember like the notes, the little notations on your paper. Like, ooh, that hurt. He zinged me on that one.
That was the first and last time anyone ever used the word spurious at me.
Not your best work. So wait, so what we say? So driving around aimlessly, cruising around.
Cruising around as like it's funny. Every once in a while I think to myself kind of late at night, I'm like, what if I just drove around a little bit, you know? And I never do it. But
I haven't done that in forever. That used to be like a thing of like either a milestone in your life that you couldn't share with or like something really depressing. And you're just like, I need to get out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think the last time I really did that was New Year's Day many years ago. Was in a long-term relationship that ended, and I just felt lost. And I remember doing that drive. It drove down by like Robert Moses.
I remember you told me this. You listened to the U2 song New Year's Day on repeat for 4 hours. To this day, if he hears that song, he just starts stabbing.
No. I don't know how to respond to that. I love when we were in high school and some of us had our licenses and we would drive as a group and you look at the urban legends. We go out to see different things. That was awesome. And then wind up at the diner.
Even though during those days I was like, remember when we were 13? And then when I was 13, I was like, remember when we were 9? And when I was 9, I was like, I want to be a baby. And then when I was a baby, I was like, I wish I was sperm. That was when I was happy.
How much further can you go back? What about when you were sperm? Can you go back further? What did you wish?
And then when I was a sperm, Rusty, I was like, I miss the primordial ooze. I miss the hellish. I miss the hellish wailing of the elder gods in the distance. I wish when everything was just lava and nighttime. Lava and nighttime. That was what it was like, wasn't it?
Batman at one point, like after he watches like that slide or reads that article in the microfiche, and he says, "Oh, I think I know who his parents are," based on the article about him being a sideshow freak.
Oh yeah, and he also is like, he makes some weird leaps here. This is another kind of problem of the script. Like, I feel like Batman could have come to know that Penguin was running that gang in a better way
instead of just declaring it to Shrek, right?
Yeah. Well, he sees, because the article that you're talking about, and then he declares to Shrek, and you're just like, what? Like, suddenly you're like not on the same page with the movie. It's weird. It feels like there's missing scenes.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a missing scene that would explain that. But, I guess most people just dismiss it. They don't really need to know or care.
That makes me sick.
Yeah. So Penguin goes to the grave, though, of his parents.
Yeah.
And there's reporters hanging around as he looks at their gravestones, and then he comes and addresses them. Did you notice? I swear, I think one of the reporters is Parker Posey. She's in the bottom right-hand corner.
Really?
Yeah, look at that. I'm pretty sure. If it's not her, then it's definitely like a doppelganger because it looks just like her. Why is Penguin such a disheveled mess? Is what I wrote down. His coat's so long. He's so sloppy. What's that black gunk always coming out of his mouth?
That's my cum.
Do penguins, is that something penguins produce?
Rusty, I don't think they were going for authenticity here. After all, penguins don't run for mayor.
Well, that dog in Minnesota keeps getting elected mayor, so you never know. All right. So what do you say? You said you saw Catwoman fighting some guys in the alley.
I
What did
saw
you say?
Catwoman.
You saw her.
And then Batman and Shrek, and then she comes in and takes him to the elevator.
Wait.
Now, Rusty, I have one scene I really want to talk about, which is coming up right now.
Yeah, let's
I'm
go.
not sure if you're ready for this.
People seen the movie. I'm sure most people.
People
seen this
fucking
movie.
yeah. Oh shit. But so Shrek wants Penguin to run for mayor. This is another. The whole scheme and the way it's laid out is like clunky. It could have been so much cleaner.
Yeah.
But here's the weird thing. So Shrek, first of all, when Penguin originally kidnapped Shrek, his plan should have been to be mayor from the beginning. Like there's like weird extra step. Anyway, though, so then Shrek is like, okay, I'm going to make you mayor. And Penguin, when he comes into the campaign headquarters, is suddenly acting like an animal. Like he's previously been this pretty intelligent guy. It's like, it's kind of funny. So I kind of like the scene, but I'm also like, they just changed his character to make that scene work more.
Yeah, he just seems horny. He's horny Penguin.
Now, Jan playing a character named Jen.
Yes.
Reminds me of the time I played Ek.
What did you play Ek in? What are you doing?
Rusty, when you watch this with Jen, did she lose her shit to hear Jan playing Jen?
Oh yeah, she threw something at the TV. But I'm surprised. I still shocked that you never seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure, because this scene Jan hooks, it always makes me think of the Alamo.
Wow, I don't even know what you're talking about.
But yeah, I do like that scene, even though that Penguin's a completely disgusting little person. But I like when he gets insulted and he's like laughing, and then he bites the guy's nose.
Oh, I love that part. Yeah, that part is great.
Why would Bruce Wayne be interested in Selena Kyle? She's very awkward. She has a bandage on her head. There's like something about her that seems off. Like, is he intrigued? Does he just want to?
Oh yeah. No, I feel like that part. I feel like that part was. I love their chemistry. I also feel the element of them both being weirdos and being attracted to each other because of that.
Yeah,
I think comes across really well, and I liked it. And
now you're a bit of a weirdo. do you clash with weirdos, or you get along?
No, I look. I can get along with a weirdo, or I could be someone's manic pixie dream boy. So then Batman fights the guys, Rusty.
Yeah, I like that scene too. I like that she destroys one of his companies or whatever it is, his department stores.
Rusty, I have a question. I got a big question, actually. I have a big question about this film. So in a little bit, when Penguin has accepted the mayoral and he's running for mayor, and he has a line, he says, turned Eagle Scouts into crazed clowns and happy homemakers into Catwoman. First of all, I love this line. But when he says turned Eagle Scouts into crazed clowns, is he talking about the Joker from the previous film?
That's it. I didn't even think of that.
And was Jack Napier a Eagle Scout? He doesn't seem like the type, but you never know.
No, he doesn't. I like that connection. I like the sirens. Are they coming for you finally? They're like hearing.
They are, yeah.
If they were listening in on this podcast. I don't get in this movie, and I think you have it, is why did the Penguin and Catwoman form an alliance?
It is a very strange alliance. Rusty, have you ever had a strange alliance in your life?
No. Have you?
Just this one.
In that scene, though, that Michelle Pfeiffer really put the bird in her mouth.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think I would ever do that.
I would never do that.
I'm not a person to put any kind of non-edible things in my mouth. I don't know about you. It grosses me.
Yeah.
You know what? Jen has this ongoing joke now because some pregnant women experience pica, or is it pica? Pica? Do you know what that is?
No.
Where you eat, inedible things.
Oh yeah. That's like this movie Swallow I saw, which was really good.
So her thing now is like, she says jokingly, although it's become alarming that I don't know if she's joking, but she says she craves sand. She's like, just let's stop at the beach. I could eat some sand.
And you're like,
I don't like sand.
Like, we were driving past a mound of, like, they're doing construction. They're a mound of dirt. And she's like, oh, I could really go some earthy flavor right now. Let's get some dirt.
Wow.
And it disgusts me so much because I could never imagine eating anything like that. Yeah. So did you have an issue with the mention of Vicky Vale? We never got back to that.
Oh yeah. I did, because I mean, I guess in some way it's like, oh yeah, let's mention it, but it feels so shoehorned in, whereas the rest of the movie feels like natural. And you're also like, I'm watching this 30 years later, however long it's been, and you're like, movie, no one cares. In the future, no one cares about the Vicky Vale connection. Now it just looks awkward that you had to mention it.
See, I'm a little different than you. I kind of like it. Like, it's subtle, but it serves a purpose. Unlike with like the Star Wars franchise, where it's just like, oh look, here's some fucking Ewoks, or here's like, a Greedo character walking by. Like, it's not so overt like that. I like it, and I like that it's because I didn't want a direct sequel, but I do like that they touched on it, that it did exist.
I love when Penguin goes lawn dart.
Oh, with his
and I can't believe I'm saying this. I might have already mentioned this on the podcast before.
You were hit in the head with a lawn dart.
Do you know? No, I did have a childhood head injury, which I'm always like, did that make me weird? But do you know there's a whole underground trade of lawn darts on eBay?
Really? People are into lawn darts? That's a collectible?
Well, because it's they're illegal now.
Yeah.
And so people sell empty boxes on eBay. But it's like the boxes, you know what you're really getting. You're actually getting the darts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a whole
I did not know this.
Gritty underworld. I'm going to make a prestige drama about this dark business.
What would this be called?
6 feet dart.
That's horrible. That's a horrible title.
Then Penguin meets Catwoman. They have a touch of the old.
Did you wait lawn darts though? Did you ever play with lawn darts? Do we have to explain what they are to people?
We do. We do. Lawn darts. The thing is that it's very self-explanatory.
Yeah.
It could only
Except
be
a lot of people got injured.
It sounds like. Yeah. It landed like on a kid's head and like murdered him or something.
Okay. That's you're speculating. Do we?
No. That's true. That's true.
Okay.
There was some dramatic thing to. There's a whole actually interesting story about it. I think I read like a long article. All of this has been forgotten.
It's just how like a lot of sports are coming back. Like dodgeball came back and kickball's back.
Yeah.
Do you think lawn darts? Do you think there will be a lawn darts league, like maybe an underground one, like blood sport? Like you got an underground lawn darts championship going on.
We need to lift the regulations, make it legal. This is a nanny state.
It's amazing to me that you always have Trump on hand with you to chime in.
Penguin.
Yeah, what about the Penguin? Tell me about him.
He and Catwoman have a touch of the old bubbly.
Yeah. You lousy minx.
Yeah. He sends her away. So like that whole bit happens so quick that you're like, whoa.
The fact that he says you sent out all the signals.
Oh, yeah.
If you really did it, if you really weren't sure if he's a villain, there you go. That's how it spells it out for you.
Rusty, as we're entering the this scene, can I? What time is it?
I don't know. It's getting late.
So as we're getting towards the end, and the Batmobile gets all fucked up. And then Batman drives it through like the tunnel and it rips off the sides of it. Yeah. You know what I was randomly reminded of? Like when I was a little kid, I hated those drag strip cars that had that look. But I was like, why did I ever how did I have an opinion on those? That's like just the thing you encounter as a kid.
Wait, what do they look like again? They just look like
those long cars that are like skinny, like only like the width of like the driver. And for some reason as a kid, it was like you would see imagery of them like in like early video games, and like Choose Your Own Adventure book I think had one on the cover once, and I was like, I don't like those.
Well, there's the Atari game. I think you went ballistic when you saw your brothers playing dragster with one of those cars.
That was part of the thing that plunged me into the supervillain life.
Do you remember in shop class we had to build one of those?
Oh yeah.
And yet yours must have sucked. I feel like yours was just a block, like a brick.
I think I told this story on the podcast before. But I started making it, and it was like one of those things where I had like no plan, or like, and my plan just kept changing and it was just getting worse and worse. And I even remember as I started painting it, I painted it blue, and then I put like a lightning bolt on it, and everyone was like, "Oh, the San Diego Chargers," and I was like, "Why did I do this?" But so I had to carry like an egg down this track, this like long track, and as soon as my car went on the track, it just flew off the track and smashed down on the ground. Like, it couldn't even travel 1 inch. It was like it had launched.
You built like a double-decker bus instead of something aerodynamic.
It was so horrible. All of my, I mean, I eventually just started buying them off. I think I told this story before, but I eventually just gave a kid like $10 for each of his projects. But I just could not handle that class. I'm lucky I still have my fingers.
You're like the instructor was a moron with stuff too, though, remember? Like he had to go to the hospital because he put like crazy glue in his eye. It's worse than you.
But Rusty, we can't get past the scene I related to the most.
Oh, wait, I didn't even think about it. Which one was it? Is it
These are the lines I relate to the most in the film.
Hit me with them.
So Penguin flees back to his lair.
Mm-hmm.
He comes back home into his lair and he says the lines, "I am not a human being. I am an animal, cold-blooded. Crank the AC." There's been so many like bad Hinge dates where I've come home and been like, "I am not a human being."
And you keep it like 60 degrees in your apartment. You're just a strange dude, man.
That is my darkest secret.
Oh, you just revealed it.
I just revealed it. That's my shame. I have to buy carbon offsets to like make up for my carbon footprint from the fact that I keep my place so cold it snows inside.
Are you like that in your car too? When you take your car out, is it like
yeah?
Oh, it's like AC. Oh my goodness.
But oh no, I pump the AC and then I turn on the seat heater and then I just like turn it off and then I turn on like I'm just like constantly just tweaking it.
Masquerade balls though. Have you ever been to one?
No.
I always wanted to. It was always like a dream of mine. I don't know why.
That is a good dream.
I think it would be so cool, like to have everyone participate. Because you could go to like a costume party where people, you always get those few that don't participate, but to have everybody, that are supporting the same theme of the event, like I think that's very cool. Like Eyes Wide Shut. It's just one of those parties.
Yeah. Also, I like how Batman attends because Catwoman might be there.
Yeah.
And do you remember like attending events when you were young? Like even if it was completely unrealistic, you're like, oh, maybe this girl from New Jersey will be at my high school play. They're doing Brigadoon. Maybe she'll be there.
Well, I know you did that then with music shows.
Oh yeah.
We would go to shows. You'd be like, we have to go to the shitty ass, like, I don't even want to say band names because they would probably, somebody would know one of them, but we would go to a really shitty show with the hopes of this, like some girl you were into would be there. We did go to Lifetime's last show, which was cool.
Oh yeah. That was cool. And that was for that reason. And I didn't talk to her.
You didn't talk, you like saw her and we're like, and you pointed her out. We're like, oh, she's here. And I said, oh, go talk to her. And you're like, not now. I got to get the right moment.
That might have been, and she died. And that might have been the last time I saw her.
I think, I don't mean to laugh, but it's true. That might have been one of the best shows we went to, by the way.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. That felt like, it was like, this is history. And it's like going out on top.
I've been to shows, like big shows, like we both went to the Stone Roses concert, although you showed up during the encore, but and then immediately left to get a pretzel, which is a story that I still laugh at. It's like, didn't you have horrible seats as well, though?
Oh, I did. Yeah, such a waste.
But I love the Stone Roses as do you, and the energy. There was no energy. Like when you're in a big venue like that, but like the Lifetime show, which was a smaller venue, probably maybe 1,000 or so people there. And it was amazing. Like you felt the bond with everyone there. It's just, you can't explain it, but it was awesome.
Yeah. There's actually, do you ever listen to the band, the Mensingers?
No.
Mensingers? They're actually really good. You might be too ignorant. You might be too ignorant to listen to them. But they're like a good modern like pop punk band. But they have a song that references that venue, the Melody Bar. And he says, Julie. Oh no, it's the Wonder Bar. Never mind. Fuck.
You leave this in.
There's one thing I want to say. I love how the big constant in Batman movies, Penguin shows up at the party. I love that the big constant in Batman movies is someone showing up to a party like uninvited. like a villain. It's like, hello. It's just like such a weird. All these people crashing parties. That's what kicks it off.
Did you ever do that in like a high school? Like hear about a high school party and just show up uninvited?
No, not that I can think of.
I showed up to one where a lot of the popular people were there, and the person that was throwing it was not popular, but they wanted to get into that crowd. And when I showed up, they said, "What are you doing here?" And I felt that I was more entitled to be there than they were, even though it was their house.
Yeah. I felt bad throwing you out that day. So Penguin takes Shrek to the basement. He's got a plan. Rusty, the Penguin has got a plan where he's going to take all these real penguins and have them launch missiles. Now, this was one of the things when I first saw it as a kid, it was just a little too corny for me. It bothered me. But I'll tell you what bothers me as an adult. I hate how this
What are you laughing at?
the firstborn son plot that Penguin gets at this last moment here. I hate how it's solved off camera by Batman. Are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck?
But at least if this was a real life scenario, you and I would both be safe.
Oh yeah.
So, what did Batman do again?
It's just like Penguin guys go out to take all the firstborn kids. We see some kind of cool, kind of atmospheric. Tim Burton's not going to pass up the chance to have like little kids getting put in cages.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Penguin, and he's like, "Yeah, it's going great." And then he gets a note that's like, "Oh, Penguin, your plot's been foiled, Batman." And it's like, what?
Oh, that's right. The thing that bothered me though is that fucking Penguin had a pretty long list of people that he wanted to get revenge on. Yet they only had cages for like 6 kids. Was this going to be over the next couple of weeks, or how are they working it?
I don't know. Well, that could have been just only one of the trams. There could have been like thousands of little things.
How many clowns did the Penguin have? Because Batman kind of took a bunch of them out. He took the big guy out.
Yeah.
Did you notice that Doug Jones was one of the clowns?
I did.
Yeah. There you have it. Oh man.
So then Batman and Penguin, when they're having their battle, Batman plows into him, vehicle on vehicle, bit of a Rose and Finn vibe.
Really? You're bringing Rose and Finn into this now?
Shrek and Catwoman, then they fight, Rusty. Yeah, now here's something that bothered me.
Oh, go on, and then I'll tell you what I want to say.
Batman and Catwoman, they take off their masks in front of Shrek, and they're having such a long conversation, and the whole time I'm just like, Shrek is still there. Yeah. Shrek is still there.
Mm-hmm. He should have left. Well, Bruce Wayne also, maybe he knew that Catwoman would take him out, but Bruce Wayne has like the eye makeup around.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he took off the mask, it was gone. Are we supposed to like believe that he doesn't wear makeup under there?
Wow. Yeah, that was offensive to me.
Thank you. I'll move along with you agreeing. As a kid, do you remember they would come out with trading cards of every movie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did they come out with the Batman Returns trading cards before the movie came out? Because I remember having a image of Max Schreck after he was electrocuted,
mm-hmm.
and knowing that, and remember seeing it in the theaters and being like, "Oh, I know Shrek dies. I know he gets electrocuted," and that being spoiled, and I was annoyed by that.
Wow.
But then I don't remember if it was from the trading cards or something else that I knew. It's funny though. As a kid, though, I hated Shrek's character. Like I just thought he was lame because he didn't have like a shtick to him.
Me too. That's funny. And then now you like him.
Oh, I love him. I love his character. I even like his son Chip. Like Chip does the walking impression really well.
He really does.
Yeah. It's really funny. As a kid, of course, we loved the action of these movies.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of that, like Batman just fighting like the clowns on the street. How boring is that as an adult now?
It's like unwatchable.
Like the dialogue with Catwoman, like the scenes with Catwoman and Penguin and Max Schreck, they're so interesting. I would watch a movie just based on them in a room chatting.
Yeah. Whenever there's like a fight scene, you're like, oh, you didn't need this. Come on. But at the time, I thought it was so hard hitting. I was like, that's brutal violence.
Lighting the guy on fire.
But you know what I love? What did you love
about it?
When they're driving home and he says, Alfred, stop the car. And he sees like a sign that Catwoman's still alive. And then he says like the goodwill towards men and women. And it has like a Christmas vibe. It's a very poetic ending. It just feels lyrical.
I'm just waiting. This podcast should fade out. Go to the credits.